Welcome to Resource PNG. On the 8th of November, Parliament passed the 2017 National Budget. The 12.9 billion kina money plan is the last for this term of Parliament and continues the government's focus on its key areas: health, education and infrastructure. It also takes into account the government's commitments to funding the upcoming national elections as well as APEC in 2018. What is in store for the resource sector? Here is a brief look at the 2017 National Budget. The 2017 National Budget represents the final money plan for the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. During this term of Parliament, the focus has largely been on key areas of education, health, infrastructure, law and order, agriculture, tourism, as well as the development of the small to medium enterprise. On Tuesday, November the 1st, Treasurer Patrick Pruij presented this government's final money plan, the 2017 National Budget, to Parliament. The budget, set at 12.9 billion kina, looks to continue focus on the priority areas for government. The budget of 12.9 billion kina is set against projected revenue of 11.1 billion kina, largely income from tax, grants and other revenue. Understandably, low world commodity prices, especially within the extractive resources sector, has taken a toll on government revenue. Given this scenario, the government has undertaken interventions within the taxation realm to offset this drop in revenue. Loggers within the forestry sector can expect a hike in duty from unprocessed logs being exported. According to Treasurer Pruij, this means logs will now be taxed according to their species.
These measures would include resource revenue raising agencies, especially IRC, to improve compliance, increase the benefits from unprocessed old road logs by reintroducing the progressive export duty rate system to capture appropriate resource rent on varying log species, redistribute the gross profits of gaming machines to increase the government's share from 46% to 55%.
Consumers of alcohol and tobacco will be hit hard come January 2017, with the alcohol indexation cap increased to 5% from 2.5% biannually. Tobacco excise base rates will have a one-off increase.
Increase excise on alcohol and tobacco to meet the cost of law and order, social and health expenses associated with the consumption of this product. These measures will be aided by an anti-illicit drug task force to combat illicit activities associated with trading and consumption of these goods.
The 2017 budget will adjust prescribed taxable component of the employer-provided housing benefit. It will create two additional tiers for upmarket cost house and very high cost house, and will fully tax offshore employer-provided housing. This is to strike a balance between encouraging and supporting employers who provide accommodation to employees and ensuring fairness to all taxpayers.
Adjust the taxable component of employer-provided housing benefit to restore current market value of housing and promote equity between employees living in different housing cost jurisdictions.
The Treasurer has also announced a revamp of the existing additional profits tax. Under this arrangement, the revised APT will be a single rate of 30% and will trigger a single APT threshold rate of 15%. This particular measure will extend across all mining and petroleum projects and not just designated gas projects, as is currently the case.
Standardize the taxation treatment of corporate income tax, dividends, interest and foreign contractors across all sectors of the economy. Imposes additional profit tax across all mining and petroleum project developments with revamped method. Repeals double tax deduction provisions for exploration expenditures and implement the minimum reporting standards of base erosion and profit shifting.
For the extractive resource industry, the changes to the additional income tax may be met with mixed reactions, especially in regards to having this APT applied to projects within the mining and petroleum sector.
Issues affecting the global and domestic economy are expected to subside in 2017 and the domestic economy to gradually pick up, but not as strong as the growth of the recent past years.
So I think the best thing that we've done here is to be absolutely realistic about where we are. I also think that by getting well, let me put it another way. The danger that we have is that the good times are just around the corner, and we're going to instill all of these good values and these good practices and these good habits in our public servants. Then Wafi Golpo will come online, Freda River will come online, PNG LNG will be expanded, and also the Papua LNG, Elk Antelope in the Gulf Province will come online as well. And then I think some of our policies in the small to medium enterprise sector will take grip. I think we'll be able to push more money out to agriculture. There'll be a lot more good times, and I'm talking in a matter of 24 months, not 5 or 6 years away. The challenge for us is to make sure that we hold on to this new cost of public service, that this new style of public service and the way that this public service is going to do things. The real worry is that good times come back and then we are spending money on unnecessary things and not focusing on core business again.
You're watching Resource PNG. When we come back, we speak to Sir Brown Bai, Chairman of Rural Industries Council, on what 2017 holds for agriculture in Papua New Guinea. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Resource PNG. Following the handing down of the 2017 national budget, Resource PNG spoke to Sir Brown Bai. Sir Brown, who is Chairman of Rural Industries Council, provided us with his analysis of the national government's money plan and what the agriculture sector can expect over the next 12 months.
The rest goes on the Kokoda Highway here in Nano Highway and the Coastal Highway.
Following Parliament's approval of the 2017 national budget, Resource PNG spoke to Sir Brown Bai on what the government's money plan would mean for the agriculture sector, particularly given Sir Brown's standing as current chairman of Rural Industries Council of Papua New Guinea, as well as his extensive expertise within the public service. Sir Brown began with a general overview of the 2017 national budget, a budget which, according to him, is necessary given the current economic climate in the country.
Let me first of all say this, that this budget, 2017 budget, is a very, very delicate budget because it has been framed on the basis of very low commodity prices, and where our revenues, national revenue, is being hit directly by low world prices for our commodities. Expenditure is always high, but I think government is taking action to contain expenditure. Our GDP, gross domestic product, national gross domestic product, is now revised to 2%, from about 3%, I think, previously, from last year. And likewise, our agricultural sector, the non-minerals and hydrocarbon areas, the GDP has also been downgraded from 4.3% in 2016 to just over 2.5%. That's telling you the volume and the level of economic activity of the country. Our economy has been very dependent on revenues coming from the minerals and the hydrocarbon area. This is why our government revenue has been very, very strongly influenced as a result of the downturn in the prices of these commodities.
In terms of what this budget would mean for agriculture, Sir Brown says for a sector which accounts for a sizable portion of the country's population, adequate support should be given.
So I always come back to agriculture. It's not only agriculture, but all the other sustainable forms of development like marine, tourism, livestock, and these are the areas where majority of Papua New Guineans are involved. And these are areas that sustain not only the economy, but the livelihood and the welfare of all our people. So our development program going forward must put our people's interest in the forefront of everything else. And what I am therefore saying is that, you see, when we generate a lot of revenue from the minerals and hydrocarbon areas, we have to make sure that a significant proportion of that is channeled into those other sustainable areas of development.
There are, however, challenges that still remain for agriculture, as well as for the economy as a whole.
Last year, when our budget, national budget, was hit by the downfall of the oil and gas prices, LNG, there was a statement made by the government that we are going to rely on the traditional sectors of the economy to sustain our GDP growth. Now that's fine. That's a good statement. But the thing is, we have not invested enough in these areas. And as a result, our contribution, GDP contribution from this agriculture, livestock, forestry and fisheries was still weak. And they should not be weak. But our problem is that we are not putting a lot of our resources into these areas.
So what is expected for agriculture in the near future?
Now, in the 2017 budget, the appropriation of 12 billion, over 12.9 billion, there's only 398 million allocated to the economic sector, which is 3% of the total budget. And then when we look at infrastructure, the transport, that has also been cut by 12% in 2017. Now, why I'm mentioning transport is because they provide the infrastructure necessary for growth to take place.
Despite the perceived lack of funding into the agriculture sector through departments and agencies, there is still hope for all who depend on this crucial sector.
You know, we could have done a lot more. You see, when the economy is sick, it is the economy that we are trying to address. Okay? And what constitutes the economy? You're talking about agriculture, fisheries, livestock, tourism and all this, as well as mining and so on. You have to give priority attention to those areas in order to make a lot of money. So when you see a figure of 398 million for 2017, well, what's going to happen there? Now, against that figure, when you look at the volume of actual production coming from the agricultural sector for each of the commodities, they are really trying their best to increase again, but most of them are down. Now, why are they down? Was because we did not invest in the increasing the volume of production for each of those commodities. PNG's answer to each problem is very simple. We have to diversify the economy. The IMF and the World Bank have also pointed this out, and I think there's a very good example of what's happening with the PPAP, that's the Public-Private Agriculture Partnership Program for cocoa and coffee, and they are making, and that's funded by the World Bank, and the ADB is also involved, and they are making a very good inroad in there. See, this is what I am talking about. What we need to do is, through our budget, make sure that we give sufficient funding to these, these sectors that can actually grow the sustainable areas of our economy.
Still to come, the extractive resource industry in PNG prepares for the 2016 PNG Mining and Petroleum Investment Conference. Welcome back to Resource PNG. From the 5th to the 7th of December, extractive industry participants from Papua New Guinea will be in Sydney for the 2016 PNG Mining and Petroleum Investment Conference. Resource PNG will also be there to cover proceedings and will bring to you a series of interviews in the weeks ahead. Here is a look at what can be expected from the conference. From the 5th to the 7th of December, representatives from government as well as participants from within the mining, oil and gas sector will be in Sydney for the 2016 PNG Mining and Petroleum Investment Conference. This event is being held against a backdrop of relatively low world commodity prices. This year also marks the final conference for this term of government, with Prime Minister Peter O'Neill expected to address participants.
Conference attendance is wonderful, record numbers again, which goes to show the great interest that investors and existing operators in the mines and petroleum sector have in Papua New Guinea.
With the theme delivering on growth opportunities, it will be interesting to note the approach taken by sector participants to ensuring they remain competitive in the global business of extractive resources. Resource PNG will be at the conference and will be providing updates during the 3-day proceedings. Updates will be available on EMTV online as well as on our social media pages. Do keep an eye out.
Registrations are now open for the upcoming 14th PNG Mining and Petroleum Conference in Sydney, Australia from the 5th to the 7th of December 2016. Recognized as one of the most prestigious international events in PNG's calendar, the conference showcases to the world the country's growing resource sector and its potential as an important investment hub.
Attendees to the conference will have unparalleled access to all the players in the PNG mining and petroleum industry, including the service sector, as well as PNG's key government decision makers and resource community leaders.
Connect with over 1,500 delegates from across PNG's mining and petroleum sector. To register, visit the conference website at www.pnginvestment.com and click on the registration and accommodation section. Don't miss out, limited spaces available.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Resource PNG. If you'd like to get more updates on the Mining and Petroleum Conference, you can visit their website on the address now showing on your screen. And that brings us to the end of this episode. As I said, if you have any questions or comments on anything regarding our show, please email us on the address now showing on your screen. For industry updates, you can check out our Facebook page. To view this episode online, log on to the EMTV website where you will find a link to the Resource PNG page. Join us for another round of industry updates from the resource sector on your number one to watch, EMTV, same time next week. Until then, it's bye for now.